Hey folks, so I got asked on a couple of videos, I had comments left about how looking forward to getting in the craft. I'd like to get in the craft of blacksmithing. Now, I am not going to try to tell you or explain to you how you should get into the craft of blacksmithing. There are so many more qualified, experienced, successful teachers on these platforms. Black Bear Forge, Alex Steele, those are just to name a couple. Brian Brazil, if you want to look at some of the best ways to move metal I've ever seen and try to emulate myself, unsuccessfully, mind you. I just want to explain to you how I kind of got started a long time ago and what I've done over the years to kind of get started and stop. The stigma of I need an anvil, and this is an anvil. This is a very inexpensive anvil from Princess Auto here in Canada. It is a cast steel anvil and it is 50 kilos, so it's about 110 pounds. It is not the best anvil I've ever had. It is probably not what I would call a first choice anvil, although it's inexpensive. I've had cast traditional London pattern anvils, Peter Wright, and Arm & Hammer over the years, and through moving and whatnot, sold them after moving too many times and regret all of those transactions. However, here we are. So getting back into it again, for quite a number of years, I was using something that just about anybody with resourcefulness can find. And I'm going to show that to you because I actually think that there, in some respects, what I'm about to show you is a better way to get started than this anvil is here. And they work. They will work for sure. But there's some things that are challenging with them. The width of this face I find very difficult. I'm used to a narrower anvil, 4 inches or so. This is much wider. And for a number of years, this is what I used. Let's see if I can lift this up here. This is a piece of forklift tine. I got these for free by approaching the forklift repair shops to see what they had in their scrap and if I could trade, barter, or buy. I ended up a dozen beer for 2 forklift forks. Now these are about a 5-inch fork wide, maybe 6 inches, something like that. This block of steel is a somewhat tool steel and is about 70 pounds, roughly. I used it just in this orientation. This was my anvil, just like that, for 6-7 years. If you look back on my channel, any of the older pictures I posted, maybe I'll try to link some of them here, were all forged on this anvil. You don't need to have a London pattern anvil. This, having all the mass underneath my hammer, I had this set in a block that I made out of scrap 4x4s, and it really worked. It worked like a charm, and I highly recommend it. Now, for things like hardy tools and stuff like that, I got lucky and was able to find this at a antique or vintage store, and it came with some hardy tools that were machined to fit in that, and I mounted this on a separate stump. I watched estate and garage sales and ended up with a stake anvil like this, so I would set this into that for anything I had to do that was a small diameter turning around a horn type object. And then also on local marketplace was a blacksmith vise. Now those actually I think are a little harder to find, but they can be found. And any vise will do. You can take a round piece of steel, a pipe, anything like that temporarily, and put it in a vise and you can use it as a horn. You can use a vise, probably not super well, but temporarily, as something to hold some sort of struck tool like a hardy tool or something like that. But to learn how to move and shape metal, if you go to Brian Brazil's YouTube, which just search him, Brazael, he's got videos where he's using a larger forklift tine, kind of like this. He's got one side that he's ground down and shaved to an angle. The other side's got a radius in it, and then he's got a section of rectangular. And you can do anything you need to do pretty much on an anvil with some practice on that shape. So there are times when I've been working on this anvil that I missed having this. The face is so wide. I was so used to doing things like for flowers and leaves and keychains and double-sided tapers and things like that. I'd be across this face in no time for forging out a double-sided taper. I'm always looking for a place. I'm still figuring that out on this anvil. And if you look around, I'm in a 16 by 8 Shelter Logic shelter on a dirt floor that I've used. Almost everything in here is scrap that I've cobbled together and made shelves and so on and so forth, and secondhand tools, and so there's lots of things you can do to get started. You don't need to rush out and buy an anvil. As a matter of fact, I might even recommend you not start with one of these. If you happen to be unlucky and get one of the soft face ones like I did, especially when you're learning, your accuracy is poor, you're going to make a mess of that face in a big hurry, and that's difficult to fix. Something like this, if you miss, you just take your flap disc on your angle grinder, clean it up, and away you go. And it's just way more forgiving, right? So I guess my message is, if you want to get started and you've got 20 square feet, 30 square feet, and some ingenuity, you can do it. And then work yourself up to buying tools as you need them. But don't get stuck on needing this. You're better off investing in a good forge than you are in investing in an anvil to start with, in my opinion. A good, safe forge. And you can use a sledgehammer head, you can use a forklift tine. There's lots of things you can use as an anvil that don't require you to invest thousands of dollars, especially in a beat up old anvil that the edges are gone. That's going to cost you, your learning curve is going to be really bad. You'd be better off on something that you can make nice, somewhat sharp edges on. You'll learn how to move the metal a lot better. So I don't know if that was helpful or not. If it was, leave me a like and a thanks and all that stuff. And follow along, and you can see what I do on this anvil. And you never know, there's a chance that in some future video you might see me using this instead, because there's a chance that I might actually like this better. Thanks for watching.